Hey there, welcome. I'm Damien and I'm just another starving artist on the internet. First, I want to preface this video by telling you that it is okay. There's nothing wrong with not liking your art. It happens to the best of us. In fact, this is something I struggle a lot with. I have to admit that I still have to work quite a bit on this area myself, but I'll explain why we hate our work and give you a few tips to help you deal with that. But before that, as usual, let me introduce you to today's original character. This is Winifred, the last of the Dullahan, and her best friend, a Cerberus puppy. He doesn't have a name yet. I've been procrastinating on deciding a name for him, if I'm honest. They're both original characters from a game that I'm working on called Mysterious Manor. And the reason this time-lapse didn't start from the very beginning, and instead there was a sketch already kind of finished, it's because I drew that sketch on paper while I was outside, and I was too lazy to redraw it, so I just scanned it and used that as a base. By the way, if you like my work, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the things that make the algorithm happy. You can also find a link in the description with all my social media, and if you want to support me, you will find my Ko-fi page in the same link. But if you would like something in return for your support, you can visit my shop and get this very same illustration as a print, available in 4 different sizes, or an acrylic keychain featuring the same characters. Now on today's topic. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with sites like ArtStation and Pixiv. If you're familiar with those sites, you probably know what I'm talking about. I like seeing all the incredible artworks everyone is making, but the average skill level of the artists you find in these sites seems so high. It really makes me feel inadequate, lacking, and far behind everyone else. Kind of like I don't belong posting my work in here. That's the first thing we're going to try to change. A lot of people will tell you to stop comparing yourself to others, but I don't think that's the right way to deal with it. I believe there is a healthy way to compare your work without destroying your self-esteem. There are 2 things we need to understand to change this mindset. First, no one was born knowing how to draw, and that's the case for all these amazing artists you admire. There was a time when their art was also bad. I myself look at my art from 6 years ago, and I think to myself, my god, what is this garbage? Yes, I know there might be a so-called genius once in a while, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the 99.9% of us. We're all normal humans, and you will be surprised how far a normal person can go with enough time and dedication. And that's the other thing we need to understand. Art is not a race. There is a massive problem with ageism in the art community lately, and we need to stop it. I know it's hard to ignore what other people say sometimes, but let me tell you, you are not late. Maybe your art is not up to the standards you want, but that's good. It means you recognize your flaws and you can improve. No, you will improve. I know you will. You just have to keep going. But keep in mind that you cannot fix this in a day. Just like art, changing the way you think about it will take time. Now, with that out of the way, I have to admit something. For some artists, this feeling gets better, but never fully goes away. The way I deal with this might sound a little bit abstract and like you have to do some weird mental gymnastics to do it properly, but hear me out. Doing bad art doesn't make you a bad artist. Don't let your art define you. Art is what you do, not who you are. You're not art, you are an artist. You should embrace your status as an artist while distancing yourself from what you do and the final product. Thinking like this may help you, especially when you have those uninspired times, when it seems like all your drawings look really bad, or you have art block, or you just cannot find the motivation to work on something. All I've talked about so far are mindset changes that can help you with your self-esteem as an artist. So let's talk about some things you can do with your art to help you with this as well. Sometimes we may feel like we aren't improving, and that can lead to hating your work and even quitting altogether. There are some things you can do to get you back in track, while also potentially pushing your skills to new heights. First, we want to find a goal, a direction, if you will. Just improving isn't really a direction, but it doesn't need to be some grand objective either, like getting hired at a specific company. Of course, that works, that's almost as fine-tuned as it can get. But for example, instead of just improving in general, decide what you want to improve. It can be character design, dynamic poses, backgrounds, things like that. However, listen to this please, don't say something like, I want to improve how to draw hands, or hair, or eyes. Yes, improve those things if you want to, you should, but they are all elements of characters, and there isn't such a thing as a hand artist or an eye artist. So instead of that, your objective could be to improve your anatomy or poses, and you can improve the other elements as part of that. Believe me, there is a huge difference between practicing isolated elements of a human body and drawing them as part of a human body. Setting this kind of goal will help you focus on what you can do now so you can get there instead of aimlessly wandering the art sphere. And I'm being a bit hypocritical here because my own personal goal is very, very vague. There was a time when my goal was to become a professional manga artist in Japan. I trained very hard on manga-specific techniques, I researched how the industry worked, I even learned Japanese and so on. I knew perfectly what I was getting myself into, and I fully accepted it. But as time passed, I realized I didn't really want that for myself. I found out that I value my mental and physical health too much to subject myself to the harsh environment of the Japanese manga industry. I began my art journey anew once more, and I'm still very early on this journey. My current goal is to find where exactly I want to be with my art. I started focusing on illustration rather than manga, and I still plan on doing manga, but it will be self-published on my own terms. I've moved from completely traditional art to almost exclusively digital art, and I started learning other skills more in depth, such as proper storytelling, game design, and I'm experimenting with many things at the moment. But anyway, enough of my old man ramblings. You have a goal now, and you can make a list of more or less tangible steps you can take to get there. Keep in mind that having a goal doesn't mean you're not allowed to relax, or steer away from it for a bit, or even completely change your goal midway. It is just a way to keep track of where you are and keep you motivated. If the motivation changes, you adapt and you change the goal to match it. Oh, and don't overexert yourself. You are doing this because you want to do art long term. Overworking yourself will only make you physically and mentally unable to keep doing art. Besides that, you can do studies. Look at artists that work on a style you want to learn. And by style, I don't mean just the final rendering. Maybe you're only interested in the way they do composition, their line art, their facial expressions, or maybe they work for a studio you want to join in the future. Studying an art style doesn't mean blindly copying what you see. You have to study with intention and thinking about what you want to learn from this artwork that you're studying. I can also recommend redrawing things you have done before. Not just very old drawings. You can get something you did last month or even yesterday and try to redraw it. Maybe without looking at it, like you're drawing it for the first time again. With older drawings, you will see progress, and that can motivate you to keep going, because it's progress and we like that, right? If it's a drawing you did last week or yesterday, maybe the progress is far more subtle. Perhaps you like the first version better, but that's no reason to feel discouraged. Look at both drawings and try to figure out why you may like one more than the other. And this can help you make more purposeful decisions in the drawings you will do tomorrow. If you like doing social media art challenges, that could also be a good way to find motivation and/or inspiration. You can bend the rules of the challenge to fit whatever your current goal is, or just do the challenge as it is if you want. But don't force yourself if you don't enjoy doing it. Use it as a way to regain motivation or perhaps even build up some discipline, but don't do it in exchange for your mental well-being. And since we're in the topic of social media, I am posting this video in the latter half of 2023, and the current internet landscape is very reliant on mostly luck. We can't predict the algorithm, and while you may think that doing these aforementioned challenges may help you build up that audience, you should lower your expectations to the ground basically. Because, let me say it again, the social media game relies very heavily on luck. You can do all the challenges, follow trends, post every day, do everything quote-unquote the right way, but it is ultimately up to the almighty and ever-changing algorithm. Success, whether you measure it in followers or money, is not tied to skill level anymore. And to be honest, I'm not sure it's ever been. And that's alright. I don't know when you're watching this video, but as of the time of me writing this, my follower count in any social media is very small, laughable even. But that is not a reflection of my skills. I will appreciate it if you could help me change that by liking and subscribing though. Now let's recap really quickly before wrapping up the video. It's okay if you suck at art. I know that sounds bad, but we have all sucked at one point. We have all been there, there's nothing wrong with it. Take your time improving, art is not a race, and ignore toxic ageism. Find a goal, something you're aiming towards that can serve you as a guide to keep you on track and motivated, but don't overdo it, don't get obsessed, be flexible if you need to. You can do purposeful studies, redraw things, and join art challenges among other things. Don't get absorbed in social media and numbers. Social media is not designed to help you, and it's not a reflection of your skills. But above all else, this is the last advice I'll give you today. I want you to consider who is giving you advice. While I think of myself as a good artist with some experience, I'm not exactly what many will think of as a successful artist. And they're right, I have to give it to them. There's definitely people out there far more qualified to give this sort of advice than me. And this video is not really about getting an art job, but if you are a younger artist without a lot of friends or acquaintances in the art community or industry, you will get a lot of people outside of art circles giving you career advice. Sometimes I'm baffled at how little the general public knows about creative industries, and it makes sense, they have no reason to know anything about it. But this comes from a basic misunderstanding of art as a job. Just don't pay them too much mind and go on with your day. And that's all I have to say for now. I hope you found this video helpful and insightful, if only a little. Please let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything I said, or if you have any suggestions for things you want me to talk about in the future. And like, subscribe and do all the YouTube things. We are now seeing the finished drawing, and remember, if you like my work, there's my social shop coffee page. I told you about them earlier in a link in the description. So yeah, keep drawing, keep getting better, and I'll see you next time.